Well, that was awful. We're going to talk about it. CHGO Bears postgame starts right now. Welcome into the CHGO Bears post-game. Falling flat is putting it mildly. That was just a complete no-show in Northern California. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Corey Wootton, Greg Briggs Jr. with you as the Bears lose 38-13.
Well,
how we doing? We doing okay?
No.
More to go, guys. We're okay.
So we're not okay. We are absolutely not okay.
The Bears are on prime time in a week.
We are.
What could go wrong?
We are the furthest thing from okay. But before I completely derail the show, let's go back to you, Hoge, and get the Adam Hoge instant reaction to a 38-13 loss because you're up, buddy. Let's hear it. Make Bears fans feel better, worse, or something. Here we go. 38-13. Bears worked. Bears shouldn't have flown out to San Francisco. They did. The Adam Hoge instant reaction.
I gotta be honest with you. I need to go on a little rant here for a second. I can't wait. Let's go.
Yeah, I will be honest with you. I find this to be one of the most shocking results of the entire season. Not that they lost, of course. Like, sure, losing the 49ers was obviously on the table. I mean, they were underdogs. But, dude, you just basically had a mutiny in your locker room in Detroit like 10 days ago. Everybody, I don't think it was just smoke, seemed to be very happy that Thomas Brown was the head coach. Everybody was talking him up. I cannot believe they no-showed. It's stunning to me. It really is. I mean, the defense, there was a lack of effort everywhere. I mean, this guy got up there on Monday, Thomas Brown, and talked to the team about playing violent, talked to the media about playing violent. And we were there during the week. It seemed like the buy-in was there. I saw them play violent for like one play. It was the second play of the game, and Gervon Dexter basically decapitated somebody. Where was the violence the rest of the game? It was unbelievable. I mean, there were guys making business decisions, and we'll get into this on the show. Some specific examples. Jaylen Johnson at the goal line, I thought, was one of them. I mean,
Stevenson on that big third down.
Stevenson, it's fourth down. They're going for it. Literally, it's your job to get in there and make a hit. You're the guy whose job it is, based on how the play played out, to make the hit, and he just like sort of backs up.
Kevin Byard, top of his feet, not shooting again.
It was stunning to see them play like that. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, that was Thomas Brown. I still would not shock me if that guy's a head coach in the NFL at some point, but you can't come out and lose 38-13 like that and be considered a realistic candidate. So if he's going to be in the mix, they got to turn this thing around quickly in the last 4 games.
The one thing I didn't expect to be able to tweet today was that should Matt Eberflus be in consideration, mostly tongue-in-cheek, but in consideration to be the head coach of the year, that somehow got this roster to 4-2 and lost 4 games to playoff contenders where they should have won. They nearly have 8 wins with Flus. Look, I've been a little bit slow on saying this, but if you go back in time, and I'm not sure that, it's a new era right now, but if you go old school, I can remember being in like a St. Louis Cardinals locker room when Tony La Russa was the manager. They lost. You didn't hear a word. It was misery. All right. And I sort of expected that things were going to change with Thomas Brown, but Every time I'm in the Bears locker room all season long, it does not feel like they are a losing football team. It feels like they are a winning football team. And I just think you got to call it what it is right now. Something has to change in that locker room as far as leadership. I mean, to come out and be that bad and that not ready to play, those guys, they have to look at themselves and look at no one else right now.
Yeah, that's the most disappointing. And I think when you look at it, right, offensively, obviously they struggled. But defensively, for me, that is the most disappointing part of this, because you had a defense that was playing pretty well for the most part this year. You know, they've kind of had some lulls lately, and you thought they'd get reinvigorated, and you thought, hey, today the 49ers, they're probably going to try to run the ball down their throats. But what did they do? They passed the ball so efficiently. George Kittle, Brock Purdy, company, Jennings. It just seemed like soft coverage. And obviously Trent Williams, who's one of the better left tackles in the game, wasn't there. And we couldn't exploit some of those matchups there. The pressure Brock Purdy had all day at times to throw the ball. So for me, defensively, that's the most disappointing part of this, because offensively, it's been a work in progress, but it's been up and down. Second half was better. But defensively, it just seemed like guys were not fitting in their gaps. There was no penetration at times, and guys making business decisions. That's the most frustrating part, because, you know, when you're over there, Tyreek Stevenson had a chance to stop them on 4th and 1. They did their job from the defensive line. All he has to do is come up there and shoot at that outside leg and turn over on downs.
And it's probably TFL.
Correct. And then, you know, Kevin Byard, you know, patting his feet in there, not shooting the gap. Jaylen Johnson making a business decision on Guerrero's last touchdown, right? When he had a chance, he probably still would have got in. But you lay a shot on them, right?
Dude, you got to lay a lick.
You do. Exactly. And I just didn't understand that. I think there was a lot of soft play out there. And you talked about it before the game, about laying an egg, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, it was one of my biggest worries going into this, because I think the theme that we've seen all season long is there's way too much talking going on with this Bears football team, and there's way too much looking behind instead of looking ahead. And so, you know, these last 10 days, Matt Eberflus gets fired and there's a change at head coach, and you hear Thomas Brown's message, you know, family business is family business. Let's keep things in house. And I don't know. I still feel like this team is consistently looking behind instead of paying attention to the details of what's going to get them ready for game day. And so you look at a game like today, where now all these coaches have been shown the door, and this is your opportunity as players to say, see, this was the issue, and instead you come out and give your most embarrassing first half performance of the season, and that's saying a lot considering how bad every first half has been this entire season. And so this has become a trickle-down effect where everybody is just way too comfortable with the status quo. And I've got news for every Bears fan. There is a lot of changes that need to be made to this organization and this football team. But if you're only seeing what's going on Sundays, then you got your blinders on. There are much bigger problems with this organization than just the team on Sundays and the coach and the quarterback, and if they can get a first down or if they can get a touchdown. This organization is poisoned. And if they don't figure out how to become a serious football operation this offseason with a big decision here coming up, Ryan Poles, I've always had his back on these shows. I've made no secret of that. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Kevin Warren shows him the door at the end of the year. I don't know, man. How do you change the status quo if you're going to keep the faces the same? You know, so I have a lot of questions after a day like today. I expected this team at some point to let go of the rope when the season got closer to an end. But today was not necessarily expecting that, and to see it was a huge disappointment. And I hope everybody in that front office saw just how badly this Bears team wanted to get home today.
Yeah, it's
I mean, it's 7 losses in a row is what it is, and you pick a win on the rest of the schedule. It's hard to find one. I mean, people are talking about the Seattle game. Seattle's a playoff team right now.
They took care of business in a big game against Arizona today.
And if you finish the year, to your point, Greg, if you've lost 11 in a row, and everyone says Poles safe, I would bet he's safe.
Well, Warren said it.
Right. But if you
he could change his mind.
11 losses in a row.
Yeah, but so let's talk about that for a second. And maybe that's not the most burning thing here on this postgame show, but depending on who you're talking to as possible head coach,
Correct.
And a coach that might want roster control or might want this demand or that demand.
To be aligned with the GM.
I know he said that Maybe Ben Johnson comes in there and is like, dude, I want your job, but I want to know that the GM and me are on the same exact contracts, and I want my guy.
All right, exactly.
That stuff happens in almost every coaching search. So to your point, Carm, you lose out. I mean, at that point, I don't know how you could sit there if you're Kevin Warren and be like, well, at least not have an open mind,
right,
to some of those conversations. Because last year you weren't open minded. Right. You're just like, nah, we don't need Jim Harbaugh.
Right, because we put the 14-loss losing streak on Matt Eberflus's doorstep, but if the season ends 11 games losing streak, you got a 14 and an 11 game losing streak on Ryan Poles' doorstep and resume. So I don't think anything's off the table at this point. And it's just, this is a poisoned organization, and they're not football serious. And so what you see today, I mean, is it that huge of a surprise? No, they're 4-9. They were 4-8 before the game started today. They're playing a well-coached team on the road, but it's the bigger picture. And so, we can talk about Ben Johnson all day long. We talk about these different candidates, but there's a bigger picture of this organization that I think, unless the Bears really look themselves in the mirror, we're just hoping they get lucky, just like every other organization here in Chicago. Ownership has never been a strong suit here in Chicago. We've found our way to championships with the Blackhawks and the Bulls and the Cubs, but a lot of it just kind of you fall into it. And so I guess at this point, that's what we're just hoping for with the Bears, is that they stumble into a good team and have a good couple of years.
Well, it's been a rebuild for 3 years now, right? And we haven't seen like we made any progress as far as wins and losses, being competitive team in this league.
We got to 7-10. It was amazing.
Exactly. But I'm saying it's been a rebuild since 3 years ago. Yeah. So we're in the third year right now. And what have we seen from the draft and acquiring capital and all this? We haven't seen much from that.
Yeah, and what happens next is you start to get desperate and you start to overpay for certain guys because your job's on the line. And that's exactly what happened with the last regime. And then they created an even bigger mess that Ryan Poles had to come in here and clean up. And remember what I kept telling you guys in the first couple of years. It wasn't like I wasn't trying to give him credit for what he had done. But when we talked about all this praise for Ryan Poles, it was, dude, Ryan Poles did the easy part. Anybody can come in and tear down a roster in the NFL. It's building it back up. That's the hard part. And he's made, some good draft picks here and there. But who are the difference makers? Who are the stars? Who are, like, for real? Like, it's like, okay, Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon. Kyler Gordon's good. He's a good nickel. He's exciting. Who are the stars? He didn't draft Jaylen Johnson. He just paid Jaylen Johnson. Like, you know what I mean? So you could have, and I hate coming back to this all the time, like, Darnell Wright, I think, is a good to better than good starting right tackle in the NFL. Jalen Carter's going to be an effing star for the next 10 years. Didn't want him. Had to pass on him. Got a 4th-round pick out of it. Great, but it's like, dude, this is the NFL. And I see people in the comments being like, well, what exactly is Greg talking about?
Let me bring it up. I mean, to me, like, if you're talking about head coaching, there's 2 examples I can point to. They had an opportunity to hire Bruce Arians, and they chose Mark Trestman. Yeah. And they tried to put them both through a fake had them both try to do a fake introductory press conference. This was something that was reported on. And Bruce Arians was like, I was just coach of the year last year. I'm not doing a
coach of the year. I just did all the press conferences.
Right. I look at my resume. You're either going to hire me or not. They choose Mark Trestman. Bruce Arians goes somewhere else. Bruce Arians, much better coach. David Kaplan, our guy, reported this week that they had Dan Quinn fly out and coach. They don't, and then they don't hire Dan Quinn. They hire Matt Eberflus. You see different things time and again. When they drafted Mitch Trubisky, they didn't tell their head coach, John Fox, that that's what they were doing. So it's just all these examples of a toxic organization that doesn't seem to know how to get out of their own way because they don't want to hire real football people. They want to hire yes men, and so that gets you in the way of getting real football results. And so we can talk about Ryan Poles, we can talk about the quarterback, we can talk about the head coach, but it starts at the top, And if the ownership and the organization can't recognize that they're not a serious football organization, then all of the things below it are just going to continue to fumble.
So on the field, real quick, if I can say one thing, they haven't built the trenches the way it needs to.
Correct.
Look at offense or defensively. What stud do they have? What Pro Bowler? What lockdown left tackle? What road grading guard do they have? None of that.
No.
And that's why they're not successful. Obviously, there's a lot to do with coaching and this, that, and the other, and scheme. But if you don't build in the trenches, you will never have a successful franchise. I truly believe that.
I mean, look, there's a million things to go over, but.
Can I bring up one more red flag before we break?
Yeah.
Bringing it back to August. You're editing out swear words on Hard Knocks.
Right.
No, I'm being serious about that. Like think about that now in hindsight. Like, I'm sorry, man. This is football. If you're offended by the word fuck, then don't own a football team.
Is it true? That's amazing. That's why I'm here. If you can't handle the F word, then get the hell out of this effing town. I'm with you, Hoge. Come on, man. Embrace the F.
It's football.
Your effing
Right.
team effing stinks.
Right. It's the point. They think Hallis Hall is like the Notre Dame Cathedral, and we got a bunch of popes walking around there. Like, instead of football people. And so you're never going to have football results if you don't hire football people. That's the bottom line.
But I think something that you said, Carm, about them like seeming like a winning team and in the locker room, because I've been a part of some bad teams, and it's never seemed that way. You know, when you're losing, you're not doing well. Not everybody's all joking and happy all the time, because I think it's just you're down about what's going on. But you said it seems like they're not affected one way or another.
I mean, look, I don't want to do movie scenes here for the Bears, but I would like somebody to play Brad Pitt and go in there and say, when the dude's up on the table dancing, this is what losing sounds like. I really think Thomas Brown needs to do that, to send a very clear message that this is different right now for however long I'm here, for 4 more games. Because
when the ownership wants to be soft, then it trickles down. The head coaches are soft and the players are soft.
Everyone's having a great time.
You know, it's all the way across the board. It's soft organization.
All right, we got to take our first time out here. We got plenty more coming up here. We got to talk about, obviously, Caleb Williams, who, kind of silently had a decent day, actually.
He did.
With it. Yeah, go look at his stats real quick.
I looked at him. I watched it. Guy got sacked 7 times, but go ahead.
His passer rating was 116.
Right. I mean, those numbers look good, but that was not a good day for Caleb. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did he sack himself all day? I didn't know.
Get rid of the ball. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Hey, our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary are here to elevate your summer. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 strains to choose from, with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. You're going to want to stop in the store nearest you throughout Illinois for expert guidance from their staff, or select from quality lines like Cresco or Florical. And going on right now through the end of the month, Sunnyside's Scratch and Stash is back again this holiday season. You receive a scratch-off card every time you shop, now through December 31st, or while supplies last. Every card is a winner, and you can win big, like 50% off or $100 off your next purchase. Hurry in to see what you win. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
Agreeing with everybody in the chat. We all could use some Sunnyside right now. Shout out to our friend at ComEd. You know, ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient, Gregory.
I did not know ComEd did that.
They do indeed. The Energy Efficiency Program can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
So what does a business have to do?
All they got to do is sign up for a free facility assessment at ComEd.com/biz.
So why aren't more businesses doing it?
Perhaps they forgot the website.
ComEd.com/biz.
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 There we go. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law. To our franchise focus we go. Is that where we're headed right now?
That's what it says in the rundown. You never look at.
Let's do it, buddy. I looked at it to get the commercials. All right. Read them off, Hoge. 17 for 23. You do the rest.
Thank you. I'm capable. 134 on the passing yards. Not a stellar day. Certainly didn't hit the props we were talking about before the show. 27 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Did not throw an interception. However, did throw a ball backwards. And that was a fumble. And he was sacked 7 times. Now, in there, the 17 for 23, so 6 incompletions. 2 of those were drops also. So 19 of 23, which is really what the number should have been. He also had a turnover-worthy throw, though, that could have been picked off. Instead, it bounced off Keenan Allen's arms, which would have been a tough catch because it went through the 49er defender's arms as well. So, look, we're not putting this one at the top of Caleb Williams' season, but at the end of the day, like, is anyone worried about Caleb Williams' future after this game?
I didn't like the trajectory today. Listen, I'm not worried about his future. I think that Caleb's going to be an outstanding quarterback, but 134 yards, which is his lowest total since the 120 against New England, since 131 against Washington. You know, you're popping out 231, 340, 256 last week. It was impressive. You're playing well in the second half. You think there's going to be momentum. You come out and the offense looks like it looked in the New England game, and it's like, where is the rhythm and timing and the ball coming out? I would have hoped that in week whatever we're in right now, it would look better than it did today.
Yeah, I think the past couple of weeks, what we've seen from him today just didn't seem the same. Like stat wise, yeah, it looks good. The completion wise, but
they had -5 passing yards at halftime, right?
And he missed some throws here or there. Some of the sacks, holding the ball too long, which I get he's trying not to turn the ball over. But I think across the board, offensively, they just have to play better. You know, receivers at times got to get open, and he's got to hit the open receivers.
I mean, some people in the chat saying drops, man. The drops were a huge problem today. He put balls right there. They dropped it. I mean, it was bad.
Well, I mean, starting the game to try to get yourself momentum, DJ Moore drops that ball. Obviously, Cole Kmet dropped the 2-point conversion as they tried to find some life and a pulse to start the second half. But the other thing to start the second half, where they had the 16-play touchdown drive to start, was something that I felt was missing on the first couple drives, where they were trying to run the ball. And if you watch the end of the Lions game, you know, it kind of got lost in the insanity of that finish, but they kind of abandoned the run at the end of the Lions game. And then at the start of this game, it was like they weren't even trying to establish the run. They were just leaning all on Caleb in the passing game to get things done. And so, you know, they eventually, they eventually got back to it, but I think that's a big part of it, you know, and maybe a learning experience for Thomas Brown here these last 4 games, because, you know, once they tried to get back to establishing the run, it was too late, exactly. You know, and so you can't get away from it that early in the game. I thought that played a big impact on the offense finding any kind of momentum.
Offensive lineman that Ryan Poles has drafted, 2022, Braxton Jones in the 5th round, Zachary Thomas in the 6th round, Doug Kramer in the 6th round, Jatiri Carter in the 7th round. 2023, Darnell Wright. That's it. This year, Karan Amagaji in the 3rd round. It just ain't good enough, man. It's just not close to good enough. Period. End of story.
And then Nate Davis was his prize.
Right. I mean,
and then that was kind of surprising because looking at him in Tennessee, he actually played well when he was there.
Yeah, but you'd have to dig too hard to know, like, what his reputation was, apparently.
They wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah, look, there's no arguing that. The offensive line needs to be a lot better.
But going back to Caleb, I mean, obviously once they finally did start moving the football in the second half, that touchdown to Rome Odunze is as good as it gets from a quarterback to a wide receiver connection there. So the one semblance of hope we can leave with this game is that Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze are good football players.
Yes.
And as you go forward with this, you're going to be able to lean on them. But, it's just hard because you're trying to find something in this game, and there's just not much. And at this point, getting sacked 7 times and knowing you still have 4 games to go, you're going to be on the road against Minnesota on Monday Night Football next week against a blitzing Brian Flores team. I want Caleb Williams to get all the reps he possibly can and get all the experience to finish this season, but I want them to do it in a healthy way to make sure they keep him out of harm's way. And sometimes Caleb doesn't always do that for himself.
All right, well, let's get to our first big money super chat of the show because I saw a $200 one in
my
there
guy.
from Professor Gregory P. Allen Braggs II.
This is my guy.
Interesting. Interesting.
Is this your guy? Is this your burner, Carm?
Drop $200
no comment.
on this, Carm?
$200 we greatly appreciate. It says, can't wait to get hyped about the DB or wide receiver we will take in the top 10.
That's right. Travis Hunter. Here we come.
And then the kicker we will draft in the third. Let Ryan Poles cook. F that offensive and defensive line.
Yes.
Everyone knows it starts in the secondary. Thank God we didn't bring in Jay Carter and risk this elite culture.
Damn.
That is a home run. That is a home run and a half.
That's something that Braggs would say too.
Well, I mean, if we're going to play the receipt game, there was only one person on this panel when they had the opportunity to draft Jalen Carter that said to draft Jalen Carter.
I got it wrong right here.
Despite the fact that he had gone through his legal issues and obviously he being involved in a car racing incident that costed someone their life. And that's a serious issue to consider. But, I still was the one saying they should have drafted Jalen Carter. So, Gregory P. Allen Braggs, if you're gonna play the game, just make sure you get your facts straight.
Ooh,
he's not coming at you, buddy.
That's fine. I appreciate the $200.
I'd like to go back to the effort here a little bit too, because I have two other examples I didn't mention off the top. Remember we all had that reaction when Jonathan Owens tried to make that one tackle in the second quarter?
yes. What the hell was that?
Like what?
He literally, it was like the worst attempt at attack I've ever seen.
You know, like the roly polies, like the bug. He rolled up, and then he just didn't hit the guy or tackle him, and then
he could have leveled him.
Yeah, and then it really bothered me that on the weird turned out to be backwards pass from Caleb Williams. I don't care. The ball is on the ground, and nobody went after it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know, someone's going to be like, Tevin went after it. And then I think one of the wide receivers or DeAndre Swift came back to it, like something. Moving in the general direction of the loose ball and looking at it does not count as going after the ball.
There was no sense of urgency.
Well, the 49ers went after the ball. That's why they got it.
The ball.
The ball. So now,
There's just some really odd things going on right now to that point. Because you would almost have to coach the aggressiveness out of Jack Sanborn. And it's impossible that a guy makes a catch and rolls around on the ground and Sanborn doesn't dive after him. Like he's been doing that.
That was weird too. He barely touched him.
And he was just like, oh yeah, I got to go down. I mean, that to me just speaks to how checked out the entire roster is really. Because like that dude's doing that's like completely off the beaten path. And let me just say one more thing. And I know it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. And maybe I'm barking up at the wrong tree here. But look, you put Bajan in at the end of the game.
Oh, here we go.
Why we're not going to try? We're just going to hand it off and go home?
Why do you think they're putting him in?
Okay, all right. Of the things that went wrong in this game,
I'm not.
So
at least you saved it.
there's like 451st.
I understand.
Were you just really excited?
I'm talking about the mentality, though, dude. Do you understand?
Okay, so to talk about the mentality, another thing where you talk about players being checked out that I would move up higher on the list is, and me and Corey were talking about it, when Jaylen Johnson broke up that pass play, and then he's chirping hard with Jennings. They're down 3 scores. Right. He could have easily got a flag for that. I've seen refs call flags for worse, and it's just one of those moments where it's like, it just feels like Jalen's like, I don't care what the score is, what anything. I'm going to let this wide receiver know because I made a nice play on the ball. Right. And, like, think about what the scoreboard's saying right now. Think about how silly you look on TV. Jonathan Owens at the end of the game gets an interception. Nice play. He's celebrating. I think he thought about running to the other side.
He did. Half the team went down.
They went to the other side of the end zone. They're celebrating. You're losing by 4 scores. You look like idiots.
Right. Half the I texted Nick because they went away from the broadcast. I'm like, did they go down there and celebrate that? He's like, half the team sort of did, and it was like the worst, oddest thing. Go to the sideline and sit down. What are you doing?
Seriously, man. And this isn't even like old school meatball stuff. Like, dude. Corey, you're a player, so speak on it because us talking, it's just
it was bad because Rome Odunze, when he scored, you're down by a lot, and he's celebrating too. You're talking about his dance.
Right.
I'm like, bro, just give the ball back to the ref
come
at
on.
that point. Jonathan Owens, Jaylen Johnson, like read the room, read what's going on the field right now. I don't understand when people celebrate on something when you're down so much.
Have some pride for yourself. I mean,
Right.
remember when Lamar Houston did that sack
And he
dance
tore his ACL.
and tore his ACL? I mean, that was the epitome.
They were
That
down
was like
3
one of the
scores.
lowest moments as a Bears fan because we couldn't have looked dumber when Lamar
And
Houston
it
did
was
that.
because it was first sack of the season, and people were getting after him, saying
Right.
he wasn't living up to the contract. He got excited and popped his ACL on that.
And again, like old man on the set here. Walter Payton scored a touchdown, flipped the ball to the referee. That's what he did.
Well, and I agree. Mike's saying
Maybe
it in
to
the
put him
chat.
up 3 touchdowns.
Mike's saying it in the chat, a sign of zero leadership.
Yeah.
And I agree. We've talked about this all year long. Like, they've got 8 captains on this team, but I don't think they have any leaders. Yeah. And it's time that somebody actually steps up and does what the leader is supposed to be for this locker room. And when you have all this toxicity crumbling around you with the coaches and the GM and the owner and the president, you don't know, how the culture is within that locker room. Like, somebody as a player has to step up and try to keep each other, held accountable.
So speaking of that, we'll get to our players only segment coming up here. But first, our CHGO Bears postgame show is proudly sponsored by the Chicago Sports Network, the new home for the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused sports content. They're also Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core. And they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago across 77 neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit CHSN.com for more info on how to watch the Bulls, Hawks, and White Sox games all season long.
All right, we're going to bring in Lance Briggs here for the next segment. But first, I also got to tell you about CIRCA Sportsbook. Whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is CIRCA Sports Illinois. CIRCA Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. CIRCA Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game. CIRCA Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, as we keep things rolling here on CHGO Bears postgame show, we're bringing our guy Lance Briggs.
El Boogity.
Along with Corey Wootton.
Mm-hmm.
Lance, I'm curious. I was pretty. I started the show pretty hot about the effort level, which kind of shocked me. I mean, I'm obviously not shocked they lost the game,
Right.
but considering the new coach that they asked for, they seem pretty excited about Thomas Brown.
Yep.
And Woot and I have been sitting here talking about some of these business decisions that were made throughout this game. I just, from your player's perspective, did that surprise you?
I'll tell you what surprised me the most. What surprised me the most is how wide open Kittle was the entire game. It's just interesting. And then the free releases, I'm as a linebacker, I'm looking at all the opportunities we can get to disrupt him and force them to go away from go to someone else. I remember playing against the Cowboys, and Romo's favorite target was Jason Witten. Okay, when you look in the stats, Witten gets more catches than he gets at least 10 more catches than the next receiver. So, if we're in cover 2, cover 1, whatever it is, we're cheating to Witten. You know what I mean? If we can get a chip on him, we can get anything on him, disrupt the timing, make Romo go somewhere else because Romo's going to roll and he's going to go somewhere else. That's what we're going to do. That was really disappointing because who this guy is, we know that he throws it. We know that's one of his favorite targets. So we should be cheating to him. I saw Tremaine Edmonds playing his fundamental read with Kittle running down the line. It was a free release right up. It's a spacing route, so he turns right around like it's a curl or a hook. And Edmonds is just playing his traditional read instead of cheating toward this guy. That is disheartening for me a little bit.
Yeah, the coverage was soft across the board, even from the secondary. Seems like on 3rd and 4.
Yeah.
Why are you playing 10 yards off, right, in the situation? Know where the sticks are. It just seemed like there was too soft coverage. And then another thing I thought Coach Eric Washington would do was bring more pressure. He's seen how we struggle with the front four, and it just wasn't pressure. Brock Purdy had all day back there at times. And, if you're going to disrupt opposing quarterbacks, you got to make things hard for him. And it was pretty easy when he's sitting back there, drinking a coffee, having a sandwich, to be able to complete it down the field. So.
That's great. Just like, hey, what they have in Jersey? A coffee. You get a coffee.
Bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich.
You know what we call guys that are back 10 yards on when it's 3rd and short, we call them scared.
Yeah.
You're scared. All right. You're scared. All right. You know what the down and distance is. You know what the percentages are. You should be up. You should be up pressing right now.
You got to be aggressive.
Play it.
Get your hands on them. Be
Let's
physical.
roll.
That's the whole point of this Tampa too. Have physical corners, DBs, right?
Yeah.
That get your hands on people and disrupt them.
Yeah.
There was a moment late in the game. I don't know how many people caught it, but I thought it was pretty damning. Jonathan Vilma, who was the analyst on the Fox broadcast today, he was talking about Brock Purdy's big day and the 49ers and all this, and then he kind of transitioned. He goes, "But what happens when you are going to go up against a defense that actually shows more looks?" And then he straight up called the Bears defense vanilla today.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and it's just, but that's startling considering how we talked up this defense earlier in the season, because there was a time where they looked like they were trending in the right direction. They were taking the ball away. It seemed like they could be a top 5 defense, as some of the players declared themselves in the offseason. Now we're here.
It's the thing about it is that it raises some questions for me. Now, in our style of defense, there are ways that you disguise coverages. You disguise coverages if that's what you want to do. You know what I mean? But there's also a way to play it aggressively. There's a way to take away what your opponent is presenting. There's ways to do that. I've said this from day one when I saw Eberflus. I said, listen, they're in bunch situation. There's these tight stack situations. I never see us go up and press. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's something that when we played, we pressed every bunch situation, every tight stack situation, okay? Because it nullifies the timing. Right. It allows our defensive linemen to get to the quarterback. Right. Gives them more time, more opportunity. So, and they started doing it a little bit, not as much as I would like. The other thing that I don't see from this defense, and I'll say this for any defense, I don't hear enough communication. I don't hear people talking. I don't hear people calling out what routes that they're looking out for, what runs, what to, I don't hear enough communication. And when you don't communicate, offense wins.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree with him more. Like back when I played with him and Lack, anytime there was a play going, hey, watch the trap, watch the boot.
Here it comes.
They'd run a boot there. You guys knew the play before it was even happening. I think that's the mark of a good team. And basic crossing routes, when you're in the zone, they're not passing them off. They're not being physical with them, and they're wide open on simple plays. And that should be stopped. As long as you be physical, you stay in your zone, and especially Stevenson on the one touchdown, right? Mm-hmm. He has the corner.
Yeah.
He's looking in the backfield. His eyes aren't on his keys.
Eye discipline.
Yep. And then they throw the ball right over. So that's a classic thing that we saw from the Bears all day today. And it's creeped in, especially as of late.
We could, when we played, we were so good at communication. Lack was so good at communication. He would call out plays, and I would get out of position because of it. So he would call out pull, and I'm thinking there's a pull, and there's no pull on my side, and I'm like, there wasn't a pull. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, that was on my side. All right. That's gonna look great on film, buddy.
Yeah. Exactly. As long as they don't break anything out, you're fine. You're fine. But what are you doing?
Was that more of a result of you guys as players doing film study, or you guys getting detailed scouting reports from the coaches, or was it both?
It's all of the above.
Okay.
So for us, we were forced to, in our walkthroughs, we had to have bent knees. Yep. We had to call out the plays. We had to call out the formation, and we had to call out the runs. And it was really annoying. And when we walked up and when we got close to the ball, we had to try to punch the ball out. All right? This was all part of our fundamental in walkthrough. So it gets to this point where you're calling it out, and if you're not calling it out, Bob Babb just like, call it out, bend your knees, punch at the ball, and do it over because they didn't do it right, and you get annoyed by it, but you do it so much, becomes repetition, and now you find yourself saying it all the time. And when you have a young guy that comes in and you're like, hey, you need to call that out. You need to call it out. If you call it out, it lets us know. It lets everybody know, yourself and everybody that's involved, know that you know what you're doing.
That's one thing, and then rallying to the football, which just takes effort. Scooping and scoring every ball on the ground.
Everything.
Right, whether it's a clear incomplete pass or not, because you never know in any situation. A fumble, even if it hit the ground, you scoop and score.
Yeah.
That's just creating that habit, and that's something that I think has creeped in, especially with the ball with Caleb offensively.
Yeah.
Nobody's making effort to the ball.
Correct.
I think San Francisco still would have got the ball, but nobody's sprinting to the ball to try to get it in that point.
No, they're kind of looking at it. It was annoying. All right, let's talk quickly on the offensive side. We were discussing earlier, like Caleb's day was almost a little confusing. You actually look at the numbers, not bad. I mean, like his passer rating was 116, but obviously you get sacked 7 times, and at some point some of that has to be on the quarterback too. I'm just curious what you thought about his game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yes, some of it is on him. Protection wasn't very good at all. And one thing that I've seen consistent this year is there are times where he's not getting help from his receivers.
Yeah.
All right. He could have extended drives. He could have extended a drive at least 2 times with back-to-back drops from his 2 top receivers. Okay. And now the following play, he gets sacked. But to me, that was caused because your 2 receivers dropped the other two catches prior, and they were catchable balls. So there's no excuse for any of that. So it's when you say there's stuff that's on the quarterback, yes, but damn, like help him.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's no excuse for your top 2 receivers, like you said, dropping the ball. Like got to help your guy in a situation, especially when it's been so up and down this year offensively. He's a rookie quarterback. He's trying to figure things out. Stuff happens so much quicker. So we have an opportunity. It's not like it's one thing if he threw it high and you got your fingertips on it, but that was in the chest a few times, especially DJ Moore and company. You got to help your quarterback out.
What is your level of concern? Look, the season's over, obviously, but the level of which they basically no-showed today under a new coach. Right, it's one thing for it to happen in Arizona after the Hail Mary game, right? And I think that's when we first saw these cracks start to pop. Yeah. But now you got everything you wanted. You got this new coach, and this was an absolute no-show. I guess at some point, how much is it just the roster? Like they're just not that good.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree that the roster is not good, especially on the defensive side, because we've seen them do it consistently. It's just disappointing that we're seeing them fall from grace the way that they're falling. There's too many good players in that locker room to allow themselves to play the way that they play. And they went from a defense that, didn't give up more than 20 points, to now they're consistently in the 30s.
Yep.
And that, to me, there's a lack of the things that you can control, which is number one, effort. Effort, your attitude, and your alignments. Make sure that your alignments are exactly where they need to be, because your alignments take care of your keys. It can be a combination of coaching, but these players have to take ownership. You got to own your own doggone defense. You all know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think it's just so bad because if you look at the tape, it wasn't like they did anything crazy, the 49ers. Not like they schemed up this crazy game plan where, it was all this trick dickum stuff.
Yeah.
It was simple stuff, crossing routes, simple runs. And he just couldn't stop it.
I was like, what's your game plan for George Kittle? Did you have one?
When DJ Williams, when he came over to the Bears, he made this great point when we were going through linebacker drills, and he's like, whoa, he's like, so when you drop, you're peaking at one releases inside. Okay, you're overplaying one. If he rolls outside, you're overplaying 2. He's like, can you do that? you know, and he's talking about how we route read. We would route read as linebackers. And he goes, you know, we played in the same system in Denver. He's like, I played the same position you played in Denver in the same system. He's like, but your coach coached a detail that my coach didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference between a good player and an all-pro or a Hall of Famer. So when you think about it that way, it's like, okay, what detail or lack of details are being taught to our linebackers when I see Tremaine Edmonds dropping to his fundamental drop and Kittle's running directly down, free release, and he's not cheating to him right away.
Exactly.
Or even pre-snap, you should be looking. I'm already looking. I'm like, hey, that's their playmaker.
Exactly.
I'm probably telling them, hey, that's their playmaker, you know? And I'm telling, I want to take him away, make him go somewhere else.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree more. I think coaching matters a lot more than people think. And the attention to details is the difference between, you know, you making a play and not, and them being wide open. And little things creep up, and eventually, like, especially the Bears right now, they're a bad team for a reason because all those little details are getting overlooked.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one thing we can all agree on is that those details have really slipped.
Big time.
Yeah, throughout, really on both sides of the ball, but especially defensively, seeing this downfall. Well, Lance is going to have a lot more coming up on CHGO Bears After Dark coming up after this show. He'll be with Greg Braggs, and can't wait to hear more of what you guys have to say as you guys continue to break it down. I know we have Thomas Brown to hear from, his first post-game press conference since, you know, getting his opportunity here to be the head coach, and here's what he had to say after the Bears no-show today.
All right, so hit injuries first. DeAndre Carter had a hamstring. Travis Homer had a head injury. We're going to continue to try to evaluate going forward. And I'll start with what I kind of addressed with the team. We got our butts kicked. There's no other way to say it. We always be straightforward, honest, and open about things that transpired. We're going to do a better job of putting a better game plan on both sides of the ball so we can execute better and obviously continue to challenge our guys to be at their best. Also encourage those guys and also demand that we still stay unified. It's a grown man's business. There is no lay down or quitting our football team, which I do love. We're going to do a better job of trying to find ways to start the games faster, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. I think we do a decent job at halftime of making adjustments, but get the ball rolling at the beginning of some games to be able to build with the lead. But overall, I mean, not enough explosive on the offensive side of the ball, and gave it way too many on defense. Questions?
You've been an offensive coach your career until this week.
Right.
What are you doing? What's your role when you see the defense struggling and you're down 21-0 in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, I still trust our defensive coaches. I still will kind of go back and watch the tape. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't want to make too many comments without having a chance to see it. And great to tape myself. But again, it's about all of us, you know, getting back to work, find a way to get solutions and put our guys in better spots to make plays.
You told us about your post-game message to them. How did it seem like they're doing? What's the mood in the locker room? We know what it's been the last few weeks. What is it today?
Well, again, I mean, we got our butts kicked, so the move's not great. But obviously our guys are still together. Again, like I said before, I'm going to be open and honest with them about what transpired, but also moving forward. And we got enough of the right guys in the locker room from a leadership standpoint to get back to work. So after today, we'll hop back on the plane and put all the focus on Minnesota.
Thomas, I think it was in the second quarter, Eric Washington gathered the defense together. Did you hear that message that he delivered to them on the sideline?
I did not hear that message, no.
Thomas, how do you get your brain around the slow starts and how consistent they've been this season?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, if I had the answer, I would have already fixed it. But I think, again, just being able to understand how to sell ourselves into a game, be able to stay on the grass, convert on third downs, and, you know, keep some drives going is going to be the biggest part of it. So, but that'll be a point of emphasis for us moving forward.
There's a really long way to go before you guys cross the finish line of the season. How do you do your part to make sure that these guys understand that there's still 4 games left and there's a lot of football to get through?
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. I'm going to be the same guy every single day regardless of circumstances. So the message will be the same, my approach will be the same, and we'll find ways to get back to work and get better. Yeah, I mean, the goal always, I don't care what my role is, to win football games, right? We didn't win. So that's always going to be the focus and the point of emphasis. And so I got to do a better job. Again, it always starts with me. So communicate better to the entire staff. Continue to try to find ways to demand more from our players so we can show up on game day and play the right way. We played a really good football team, and they kicked our butts.
The sacks on third down, what did you see on those plays? And then what did you think of Caleb's game overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think he fought his butt off like he always does. I think continue to try to find ways to get our guys open so we get the ball out on time, but also kind of going back to the slow starts. I mean, when you're behind and having to come back in games, you're kind of forced to have to drop back more, which obviously exposes you more to sacks.
Most coaches get months to get ready for their first game. For you, you had a week.
Yeah.
So how are you doing as far as getting the operation leading up to the game and then on game day the way you want? And obviously you still have 4 more weeks to try to fine-tune that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the operation leading up to it was fine. I kept my same rhythm offensively. Obviously, there's more on my table when it comes to how I set schedules, communicating with the team multiple times a day. So that's obviously going to continue to be something I kind of work through in the future. But again, I don't make excuses. Whether I have a week or have 5 months, the goal is to win football games, and we didn't win. So that's going to be my only focus today and moving forward.
What did you think of Caleb today as far as just his kind of journey through the game?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously the first time I've been on the grass, so having a chance to meet with him face-to-face kind of makes it a little bit different when it comes to that versus being in the box and being on the headset. But again, I think he's relatively always calm, cool, and collective, obviously super competitive. So again, there was no quit or no crying and complaining with him, which is I love and appreciate. And he's a super confident dude, so he's not rattled one bit. We've got to find ways to be better for us offensively.
Thomas, did you get an explanation on the fumble?
Yeah, I did. Rule change. I kind of argued that, but it is what it is.
What would they say? And you said rule change?
Just as far as the change of the tuck rule, and obviously it wasn't about his arm going forward when he tried to pull it back. It was more about how the ball came out of his hand. So they ruled it a fumble.
First half, I think it was 320-4 in total yardage. How do you wrap your brains around that? How lopsided that was?
I don't. We got a butts kick. Like I said, just didn't stay on the grass offensively. Took a convert on third down. And obviously we just gave up too many explosives well on defense.
Thomas, in 18 days, you went from the passing game coordinator to the offensive coordinator to the interim head coach. At any point, has this felt like a lot now, especially with your first game as head coach in the books?
I mean, not really. I mean, I try to keep it from a small focus standpoint. I think the outside world puts a bigger emphasis on certain things, and I understand why, because the role is big. I'm not going to act like it's not. But my focus always stays on the job I've been asked to do, and I try to be the best at that.
Rome has been kind of in the shadow since the day you guys drafted him because of Caleb being there and the experienced receivers being there. What are you seeing from him? He had 2 touchdowns today, obviously, but what are you seeing from him now as he's getting toward the end of his rookie season? He's got the experience.
Yeah, I mean, Rome has been very consistent from day one. Like I've said before, I think as far as his approach to the game is super mature. Does a really good job in meetings of taking notes, being detailed, doing exactly what we asked him to do. And glad he showed up for us when we had an opportunity today.
Couple more. Unless you guys are good. Okay, good. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas.
All right. There's Thomas Brown's first post-game press conference.
I honestly feel bad for him. I think we all had high hopes for Thomas Brown here in his first game as interim coach, like just a different voice. But honestly, I feel bad for Thomas Brown because he kind of got hit by a freight train today. This is a team that's completely drowning.
And the train was the Bears.
The train was the Bears. He got hit by his own train. And so that's unfortunate for him. I mean, this still is a 5-game audition, and first test out the gate is a failure. And, he doesn't have much time to try to bring this team together in the vision that he probably would have had if you get a whole offseason. But those are the breaks, and that's why he's getting this opportunity to put his hat in the ring. But there's a lot of dysfunction going on in this locker room and in this organization. And for him to try to clean all that up, he did a good job with the offense. And so I'm curious to know as we get into the week just how much of an adjustment it was for him to be in the, up in the box, to come down on the field. And people will say, well, this is why they shouldn't have moved him down there. But in my opinion, if there was any consideration for him to be a candidate, you have to know if he's able to do those things on the field, because that's where he would be as a head coach. Today, the answer was no. You got 4 more games to go. I'm not going to completely throw his name out after this game, but after one game, it's a no.
Yeah, well, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, like I said off the top, you can't lose this game the way you did, have your team come out as flat as they did, and then get the head coaching job. There's still 4 games left to go, obviously, so we'll see if that can flip around. Also, like, things are really bad right now, and Greg, you're always you're the guy in charge of judging the fan base. But this seems to be the most toxicity I've seen the entire season. Would you agree?
Yeah, or after the Hail Mary after Washington.
Yeah, but this is more like
worse.
No, this is worse.
This seems like they're turning on each other, turning on us, turning on
Everyone in the organization.
I'm sorry, I didn't see a single person all week say Thomas Brown shouldn't be the coach, and that's all I'm seeing in the comments today. It's like, you guys said it. What we said was, if you have somebody in house who might be a real candidate, then you should see what he can do. First game didn't go well. Yeah. But at least now we know.
Yeah, I'm not, you know what? I understand Bears fans tweeting at us, Bears fans in our chat. This is a shit posting kind of day. They're going to get them off. The thing about us doing an interactive show is this is the beauty of what we do with this show is they can, say things to us that we can immediately respond to. We are more accessible than any other, medium that they are. So they just want someone to yell at, yell with. And so that's what we're here for. So let it all out. I understand how pissed off everybody is. I'm pissed too. If we want to get Cole in here on Tuesday, we can yell at him too, and everybody gets yelled at. I mean that's where we're at as Bears fans right now. So yeah, we're pissed off, but I don't really take any of it personally. I understand everyone's mad.
Well, let me try to give at least one thought that I just had that might be a positive for Bears fans right now. Look, I was optimistic about Thomas Brown. I'm still optimistic about Thomas Brown as far as what he can do. He's clearly, I am going to start to wonder when he's going to explode and get out of the very calm, just handling it and supporting his guys. I do wonder when that's going to change. I don't think he's going to stay like he was in that press conference for the rest of his, 4 games here. But look, the reality was, as I said on the show last week, they're playing really good teams. They're playing the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, and he's climbing massively uphill. There's no way that it's going to be nearly impossible for him to get this job. And when you go lose 11 in a row or 10 of your last 11 and the fan base is this negative, you might have to go out, if you're smart about it, and pay the number 1 guy out there to turn this around as quickly as possible, Ben Johnson or whoever. I think the Bears should be looking at this. Kevin Warren specifically should be looking at this. How do we get this turned as quick as possible? And going after someone and taking a wild guess at the next Matt Eberflus, John Fox, Matt Nagy, Mark Trestman, whoever you want to name, that ain't it. They're gonna. I think the position they're in is to open up the wallet and spend on a proven guy or somebody that they're really high on if you want to go the Ben Johnson route.
And today's a perfect example of just how important a good coach and play caller is. Because Kyle Shanahan, look how many players were out for their offense, right? You have Trent Williams out, Brandon Ayuk. They're down to their 3rd string left guard, like early in the game. They are down to their 3rd string running back. Their quarterback has an injured shoulder. But none of that matters. They're going to continue to be a well-oiled machine, and that is because of the system that he has in place. So certainly a good play caller and a good coach is going to take you a long way with trying to have an organized system.
But today, Helen Keller could have played against them and carved them up. Literally, it was just simple defense. Like there was nothing crazy that Shanahan did. Honestly, Carolina Panthers would have drove down the field on them with Bryce Young today. Honestly, he didn't do anything crazy. It was just the Bears played so bad today. Literally, there was simple crossing patterns that they couldn't even defend. Well, so bad.
And I do think you have to get into some human nature here. Look, you coming in today, they had lost 6 in a row. The season, they all know it's over. You're on to an interim head coach. You're playing on the West Coast. You got a long flight. You're getting up. It's just hard. Football's a tough game. Yeah. You got to be super ready to play against lunatics on the other side. Human nature showed up today for the Bears. I mean, it really did.
But I mean, wouldn't you guys agree? Kyle Shanahan didn't do anything out of this world play calling wise. There was nothing I thought that he has this great game.
No,
plan.
I mean there were a couple of the screens I liked, but it's not like
Yeah, but it wasn't like – I honestly think the Carolina Panthers would have put up 400 yards today on this Bears defense.
Yeah, no,
they would have. They
got carved up by Brock Purdy. All right, we want to make sure that everybody watching should know that you should become a CHGO diehard. Still plenty of reasons, even if your football team stinks, to be a CHGO diehard. We got tons of events. We've introduced some new events, by the way, too. The Top Shelf. We're talking
Top Shelf
suites for Derrick Rose night at the Bulls game. We got a Blackhawks suite night coming up too.
$100 off for diehard on the
yeah, $100 off if you're a diehard. So one of the many reasons to become a diehard, you also get a free shirt when you sign up. You get all of our great content. That a lot of our content's free, but some of the more specific diehard content is behind the paywall, and you get access to that. So there's a million reasons to become a CHGO diehard, and now is a perfect time for you to do so. I believe we also have some audio, video, DJ Moore in the locker room. I think we have DJ Moore. I think we have Kevin Byard coming up too, and I know that Caleb Williams' press conference is, I think, finally about to start, so we'll turn that around for you as well. So don't go anywhere, but here's what DJ Moore had to say after the Bears lost.
DJ, how do you just explain what happened today? One-sided kind of game.
Just didn't start fast. We start fast, we stay in the game, and we put up more points if we start fast.
I imagine this wasn't the fight that you expected this team would come out with. What do you attribute that to?
We gotta start faster. We ain't come out, we ain't go down and score. We ain't have any points in the first half, so we gotta start faster.
You guys haven't led in, I think, 2.5 games. What position does that put the offense in where you're just chasing points?
Shoot, yeah, we gotta find a way to get some points in the first half. Better yet, the first quarter, and can't put all the pressure on the defense.
DJ, can you put a finger on the slow starts?
Nah, we gotta execute and just do what's called.
That's something you guys have been emphasizing a lot this season.
Yeah, I don't know what's not clicking, but we need to get it going.
What was TV's message at halftime?
We didn't execute, and we didn't play our best football.
Were you surprised after it seemed like there was a lot of energy this week?
Yeah, definitely surprised. Practice looked good. Our Friday was good. We all had the feeling of everything was good, and we come out here and we ain't put up nothing, really, and just not the best.
Does a loss like this just highlight, Flus is gone, that's one part of the problem, but does it kind of expose there might be some bigger problems here that have to be fixed?
Might be. I don't know. I'm a player, and that's probably for the upstairs to figure out, and just leave it at that.
What do you guys have to do to make sure that the next four don't go like this?
Shoot, I don't know. Stay together right now and find a way to score some touchdowns. Rome had 2, in the second half, but we got to figure out a way to get them in the first half.
DJ, you said you had a good week of practice. Where the 49ers were doing, did it surprise you guys at all in terms of defensively or anything like that?
I don't know. I play on the offensive side. The defense is our defense. They always going to play at a high level, but today I think they got.
Thanks, DJ. All right.
What's the number one thing he didn't say? How many minutes was that, Steven?
2 minutes.
What is the one thing he didn't say that entire time?
I need to do better. I need to catch the ball.
Yeah. He's talking about not starting fast. He dropped a ball on the first drive of the game. You're a captain. You just got paid $110 million. He's a great DJ Moore. You're a great player, but as a captain on this team, when you're asked how do we need to start faster, you gotta say it starts with me. The coach wasn't doing it. Matt Eberflus, he's been shown the door. Somebody has to step up and say it starts with me. I dropped a ball on the first drive. That was part of the reason why we didn't get anything going rhythm-wise. It starts with me. Then start talking about all the other word salad. It's not hard to take personal accountability. It's imperative. And it's just so frustrating to see. You wear the captain on your chest. You got to be a captain. You got to be a leader. And not taking a personal accountability is the exact opposite of leadership. Stop having 8 captains on this team if nobody wants to be the guy that steps up and says what's necessary.
Dylan Braggs.
It's annoying. Well, he's a great player, but why are we skirting this?
But okay, I agree with you. He's not DJ is not the front of the room leader guy. He's
So
not.
who is? You're in the locker room.
That's the whole point. They don't really have it. DJ is a chill dude.
Right.
He wants to do his job and give you his best effort. He's going to compete. He gets hit all the time, gets back up, keeps going. Give him his credit that way. But he's not a front of the room, get in your ass type of dude. That's not him. They don't have that guy in that locker room. I don't see him.
Offense or defense?
I don't see that guy in there. I just
think
don't.
That's the problem, right?
Probably Jaylen. That's why Jaylen said this week, I'm usually the one that has to step up and be the one that speaks.
Right.
He said that.
But that's saying like that that's not the type of guy he is. So
Yeah.
he's going above and beyond what he normally does.
And
he
said
was more times than not, I feel like I have to be the one that says it.
And he said back in the day when Roquan left that there was a big voice missing in that room. So
but I don't know. The Bears
I'm not
thought
saying
that Roquan was that guy either.
I'm not saying that, but that underlines it even more. Like Roquan was not like the alpha dog that you would exactly want, but when he left a void in there. They need to find somebody like that.
But again, Jaylen, another leader on this team, another guy with the captain patch on his chest. Thomas Brown comes out Monday morning and says, I had a meeting with the team for the first time as head coach. My message to them was, family business is family business. Let's start keeping things in-house. What did Jaylen Johnson do 10 hours later? He went on a radio hit and started airing out more things that happened in the locker room the week before. And he was like, I don't even care anymore. Enough's enough. This is what I'm going to say. And that's fine. You want to speak your honesty, but it goes against what your interim head coach had just delivered message-wise to the locker room. So as a captain and as a leader, if you're the one that's going to be outspoken where it matters most. Doing it on the radio and things of that nature, it's only feeding the media. It's not feeding what needs to be fed, and that's this team starved of a winning culture.
All right, and
what did he say on Monday that was so bad?
What do you mean? He talked about what happened on Thanksgiving in the locker room that night. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying
he has to. He was
asked
about it later in the week too. When he does media.
No, because when Cole was in here on Tuesday and was asked about the similar things, what did he say?
What
did he say?
But Cole's not the one who said it.
He's not the one who did it. He's talking about what
he's
he
going
did.
to say. Then what do you say, Mark? You love to play the game. You love to play the. I'm just saying. All right, you love to play this little game here.
Yeah.
What would you say if you were asked about it on Monday night? And the coach said,
"What did I say in the locker room? Is that what you're upset?" And I actually feel some level of regret about going at my head coach when I could have played a whole lot better.
Or you could just say,
something.
We're looking ahead. That was in the past. We're not talking about the past anymore.
I wouldn't run from it. Listen, the bottom line, I'm not against you here. I don't think you're coming at me either. I'm just saying that, look, they need better leadership in that locker room, period. That is a part along, but more so than that, let's be clear here. They need talent. They need good players. They need somebody who can go and sack the quarterback. It's not the play calling. They need dudes who can get in the backfield and kick someone's ass. They need guys up front who will drive you into the ground. Yep. This is not just, it's not like if you had some great voice in there that they'd be killing everyone. There's not enough right. And Lance just said that you need somebody who plays consistent enough to be a leader. Is that?
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You can't be telling people about what they're not doing well if you're not doing that yourself.
And a guy, Lance, I think that does that is TJ Edwards, but he's another guy that he's not going to be front of the room, get in your ass, dude. That's not him. He'll play. He play. I mean, he's the most qualified to do it. Dude's out there every single week, but that's not his personality.
$100 super chat from our guy Kerry Huss.
I love Huss. We need Huss right now.
Yeah, we do.
We need to go back to Huss.
So sad. Can't believe this team. Nothing ever changes. Don't think Brown is the answer, and it's not his fault. Another crap team handed us our ass again. Shanahan or Sean, period. So many years of disappointment. 53 now. Thank the football gods for CHGO. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Huss, I would like to send out a congratulations to Brad from San Fran. Because his campaign has gone so wide that now the general manager and head coach of the San Francisco 49ers have had to address this.
We gave it a valiant effort, boys and girls. We tried.
Shanahan was actually asked about this postgame, about the idea of him being traded to the Bears or leaving the 49ers for the Bears.
How bad?
He said, quote, "I know I don't want to be any place in the world more than here. My family feels just as strong, if not stronger."
And wait till he hears what Brad from
Why would
San
they let
Fran
him go?
It's the dumbest thing ever. I don't know who
He's led
started
him to
it.
3 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Well,
San Fran fans started it, and then Brad from San Fran just wanted to hop on and try to, add some, add some fuel to the fire. And then Mike Florio tried to jump on the entire gravy train and act like he was the one that created this whole thing. But there was a starting point.
Congrats to Brad. It's a great job by him. Look,
it might have been the reason we got whooped today.
I just want to be clear on one thing here. I'm not saying that TJ Edwards or DJ Moore are a problem because they're not front of the room leader guys. I'm just saying that they are not. You can have those guys in there, but you also need that dude.
They just have none of it.
Yeah.
So.
Kevin Byard also spoke from the locker room, and here is what the Bears safety had to say about struggling defense and effort today in San Francisco.
It's the reality situation.
Is it tough? I mean, obviously there's the natural thought that when there's a coaching change, that might solve some issues, but then to see the way the game played out, does that kind of show you that there's some bigger things that still need to be fixed with this team?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the coaches aren't out there playing. We're the ones out there on the field. We're putting the product out there. So, at the end of the day, I just try to look in the mirror. Like I said, I feel like I didn't play well today. I probably would say that everybody's going to talk to you, going to say the same thing. They didn't play well enough today. So that's just reality. When you don't play well, you lose games, you get blown out.
How frustrating was it for you? How frustrating was it for you? You guys had a good week of practice and you guys came out flat. You still couldn't get things going.
Repeat question. It was very frustrating. We lost the game.
Thank you.
All right, well, Byard said what you wanted DJ to say.
Well, that's the thing with him. Just got here. Veteran. One of the most vocal guys in there. He's not a good enough player to have, like, he's fine, but that shouldn't be the guy that's like, we're constantly going to Kevin Byard. It'd be like, I don't know. I mean, who would that be in 05-06 Bears land if you didn't have people to talk to? You'd be constantly going to, give me someone, Briggs. I don't know. Like, that's just not who you should be hearing from.
Daniel Manning?
Sure, Daniel Manning. Great. Go to Daniel. 55 in the back row.
The real leader.
I mean, seriously.
Person I'm laughing from the
That's the equivalent. Olin, stop talking. Lance, stop talking. Urlacher, let's go get Daniel Manning. Like, we got to go to Daniel Manning every day with this team.
Yeah.
That ain't it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh. And I think that's the misconception. Everybody thinks the best player is always going to be vocal. Like, playing with Julius Peppers, he was not a vocal person, right? Like, arguably one of the greatest defensive ends ever played, but that just wasn't his mantra, right? He's a lead by example guy, not a vocal guy. And I think coming in this offseason, they have to get guys that are vocal leaders that are good for the locker room.
They need,
if not, they're never going to change the culture.
Give me. I don't have the list in front of me, and maybe they should draft one. But can we? Is there a free agent center that the Bears can overpay who can be that dude? Is that dude out there? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because that's part of the problem is I'd imagine that's one of the harder things to scout. You got these kids coming out of college. Like, you're not going to draft somebody expecting them to be like
give me
the alpha in the locker room the second they walk in there.
I mean, a free agent.
I'm saying
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but I do wonder that sometimes, like, because I feel like the last two GMs have been so concerned about character.
Yeah.
To the level that it's like, well, no wonder your 8 captains are all like the same guy. Like, and it kind of makes it hard for somebody to stand out and be that vocal person in the locker room, to command the whole locker room as a player, as a leader. I think that kind of makes it tough.
To be a leader, it's not always about being a good guy. Sometimes the leader has to be the bad guy.
Well, let's talk about the elephant.
And they don't have any bad guys on this team.
Well, let's go elephant in the room here. And as he gets more experienced, not you, as he gets more experienced, can Caleb be that guy?
Well, that's the point. And somebody said it in the chat. They're like, well, the guy you're talking about should be Caleb, but he's a rookie, so he can't.
He's a rookie.
But that's the point. He's a rookie.
I don't even know that he should be a captain.
He's a rookie, and he's a captain.
He shouldn't have been a captain.
Right. He's a rookie, and he's a captain, which, again, speaks to the problem of leadership, that they had to they felt the need to vote a rookie quarterback as one of your 8 captains. It makes absolutely no sense to do that. They don't have anyone that's actually earned that title.
But
I think they should have voted Jonathan Taves to be the captain.
I mean, the only 2 that have a real say in being a captain on this team are Jaylen Johnson and Cole Kmet. By the work they put in on this team, on the field and off the field, the work they do when no one's watching, they've earned it. But again, those are 2 guys that aren't exactly the ones that are going to go around and hold the rest of the locker room accountable.
Might as well have made Torrey Taylor a captain. Taylor should have been a captain, guys.
Tyson Bagent.
Make Bagent. Oh.
He would love that.
Now we're cooking with gas. Did you see the way that guy gave the handoff today? He was like, guys, he was so. I'm like, let me show you exactly how I'm going to do this completely perfect for you right now, because that I so want to be playing someday, somewhere. Not with the Bears. I get it. I got it. No problem.
You gonna follow Bagent to
I just look.
PHNX when he replaces
Guy Finley. Guy Finley. So what? You just go away and take captain away from guys? No, you don't make them captains in the first place, Guy.
Yeah, 8 captains was a red flag.
Let's go with 26 captains. we'll all meet after every game.
Do you remember there was a press conference? I think it was like
rotating captains.
It might have been last
and
year.
rotating lockers.
Or it was either last year or early, like in OTAs this year, where Flus named off his leadership council. It would have been quicker if you named the players who weren't on it.
It was like
the whole
players.
team. It was like.
Though I think we were in there.
That?
Like, yes, I do. And I was like, is anybody not on who didn't make the leadership council? You must really stink.
Yeah.
Bring him back. Matt Eberflus should be coach of the year, damn it. How he got this team to 4-2 is one of the greatest accomplishments in NFL history.
Please stop saying that into the microphone on our air.
How did he get this team to 4-2? I sat on this microphone. I was like, I got up the win total. They look phenomenal. This team's incredible. They're definitely going to win 10. They're not going to win 10 games by... I mean... They might not win 10 games combined with the rest of these 4 next year. I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. They're going to be great next year. Give me a good head coach.
Well,
it's just so surprising because they played, the Vikings, the, Packers, Lions down to the wire. Some of the best teams in the NFL right now. And San Francisco have been struggling. And this is what we saw today.
All right,
that's the most disappointing.
Let's hear from Caleb Williams. He just got done speaking to reporters in Santa Clara. Here's the quarterback.
Struggles have been a consistent issue all year. How do you wrap your brain around the slow starts?
Yeah, exactly what TB said. I think if we had the answer, we would have solved it by now as players, as coaches. It's not something that you want to do because that puts you behind in games, and then when you're behind in games, which we've been in a couple of these past games that we've been playing, you got to come back, and it's a taller task. We have to do it. If it happens, but it's a taller task, and you don't want to deal with that every game. If you can get out and jump on people in these teams and impose your will, that's obviously what you want to do early in games. And we haven't been doing that.
We've talked about the value of you getting reps this season. When you're chasing points the way you've had to chase them the last 2 weeks, are those reps a little less valuable because it's not kind of the ideal situation of run-pass mix, and you're probably throwing a lot more than you would ordinarily?
I wouldn't say that it's hindering anything or anything like that for me personally. I think they drop back in these coverages. They're mixing up coverages and things like that because obviously, when you get down now, they're trying to make sure that you don't start coming back and scoring points. And it's something that we've done recently pretty well is, when we get down and we come out of halftime and things like that, scoring points, getting after it. And so I wouldn't say I wouldn't put it in that context of it being negative.
Real quick before I lose my mic, was the communication with UNTB the same today as it had been, or in what ways was it different because he was the head coach?
Yeah, I'd say it's the same. I think we had, I would say him and I, him being on the field, obviously you're right there, being able to talk to each other and things like that, face to face. I'd say that was the biggest difference. And then from there, it's just, when you have these promotions, when you have these, these situations that we've had happen with coaches being fired and things like that and promotions, people earn or are promoted to new jobs, and there's new things that they have to deal with, and it like I always talk about in all the interviews that I do is all the small things matter, and so when you have to add more to what you're already doing, and it's something new, and it's live bullets flying, there's going to be every once in a while it's going to things are going to happen, communication is going to be different than what it was in the previous position that you were in, just because you have a lot more on your plate. But I think today was, I think we did well today, with the situation that that has occurred, and we got to keep going, keep fighting, and stand tall.
Caleb, Thomas told us earlier in the week that his message to you guys was about how football rewards teams that play violently.
Yeah.
Just knowing that you guys got outgained by 315 yards in the first half, how do you rectify, whether that's effort, whether that's just being outplayed, how do you rectify that knowing what Thomas had kind of encouraged you guys to do today?
Yeah, we got, we got, I don't know if Thomas said like this, but we got our ass kicked today. And there's no way around it. You can, like you said, they had, I think at one point they had going to half, they had 240 something, I believe, and we had four total yards. So that's regardless of how we feel, regardless of all of that. We got it handed to us, and so as offense, defense, special teams, myself, we got to come out and be better. It's just totally what it is. We got to be more violent. We got to have our screws screwed, and we got to be on point, and that's not what happened today. We started to get something going, and then I end up fumbling the ball. I end up fumbling the ball, and our momentum and things like that from there started going down, and they go score again, and off of that, and it's you have points off of turnovers, and you're already down. It's tough. It's tough at the end of the game.
And just to touch on what you were talking about earlier with the slow starts, knowing that that's been a problem all season long, and sometimes when there is a coach change mid-season, that can maybe give you guys a bump for a little bit, or it could put a Band-Aid over a bigger issue. Does seeing the same problems today that have existed for the previous 13 weeks show you that there might be some other things this team needs to fix that are deeper than just one thing?
Could or could not. I don't have the answer for it being something bigger or just the Band-Aid aspect of it. I think as players, coaches, I think we just overall need to do better. And I can definitely speak on myself. When we get out there, that first half, we got to go and score points, find a way to score points some way, somehow, regardless of how it happens, regardless of, the situation. We got to go out there and score points.
Caleb, what was happening on third down? There's a sequence where there was 4 straight sacks on third downs. What do you think was happening there?
Yeah, the most important thing is first and second down efficiency. Not taking sacks on first and second down. When you get the third down, now it's time to, because if you incomplete, if there's we're short of the line or anything like that on third down, if we run the ball, if I take off, we throw, whatever the case may be. Taking a sack, it goes into that category. It obviously matters because now you're going off the field, but incomplete, you're going off the field. We run the ball in those situations and we don't get it. You go off the field, you take a sack, you go off the field. So in those situations, first and second down, you don't want to take sacks. Third down is now the time to make the play, and we didn't do that today.
Caleb, what happened on the fumble?
Yeah. We called a play, and timing wise, we were just, myself, just a little off. And so I was throwing the ball, and timing was a little off. I held the ball, and my hand was still coming forward, and it was rolled a fumble. So, yeah.
Caleb, how hard is it for the leadership group, the captains, to continue to kind of galvanize guys when you're losing? I mean, it just to go through the streak. I know we talk about the culture and the veterans and everybody in that locker room, but is it difficult to keep pushing and keep getting guys up for week after week until you get that win?
My job is to lead. The captain's job is to lead from the front, even when it's tough. My job is not to get you up to come into the facility to do your job, to come in and have after hours treatment, all these different things, My job is and our job is to go out there and lead the guys, and lead the guys the right way. It's a internal thing, to get up and, do the job over and over. And as leaders, we do obviously have to encourage and keep encouraging. We have to stand tall, and have that courage. That's the most important thing for yourself. Have courage, and from there you can encourage other guys. And so, as leaders, we have to obviously keep getting up and fighting and leading these guys. That's an internal thing. Getting up and keep going, keep fighting, keep throwing punches. We have to keep coming together. We have to keep finding ways to have productive drives, defense stopping people, special teams on the field, putting it through the goalposts, or whatever the case may be. We got to find ways to have successful downs, special teams, defense, offense.
Caleb, very small silver lining today, but you did hit Rome for 2 touchdowns. What did you see on each of those connections?
Yeah, the first one, the defenders on the motion got confused, and they weren't decisive enough. And Rome ran a great route, didn't get collision, and just gave him opportunity ball in the back pylon, something we practice all the time. And he went up and made a great play, getting both feet down. And the second one, knowing the type of player that 54 is on their side of the ball, they end up being in a 2 shell, 2 high shell, playing cover 4 behind it, I believe. With the back going this way, starting off with 3 receivers, to that side of the field on the right side, and back going across my face. Rome ran a great route. Froze Fred. Fred had his eyes on me in the back, and Rome ran a great route, made a great catch, and that was second touchdown. Thanks, guys. Awesome. The Bears.
All right, there he is, Caleb Williams, following the loss. There was an interesting part in there we were all trying to decipher.
My job is not to get you up. You have a job to do. I get paid to play quarterback. I'm not here to get you motivated to go to work.
That's what I think the gist of what he's trying to say was, it's not my job to get you here up to get in the building, do all the work outside the building too, is what he had to say.
I think when you initially hear, you're like, oh, was he taking a shot? But I don't think he was meaning it by that. But everybody's got to be motivated by themselves.
Yeah.
Right? We're all pros here in this locker room. We got to be motivated, ready to go to give our best every week.
And I think it's pretty obvious, though, he's, as a rookie in the NFL, finding his way as to what his voice exactly is in
100%.
that locker room.
Yeah, 100%.
Again, not his job to do those things, but when you wear that captain's patch, that holds a different responsibility, which is why he shouldn't be a captain.
Yeah.
But as a captain, your job is to have the troops rallied. That's why he shouldn't be a captain. That's why they need real captains. Only like 2.
Right. I mean, look, you're
the captain.
You're in the NFL.
Goddamn right, I'm a captain.
You're in the NFL.
What? Taco Bell?
In Taco.
Of the
when
weight
I
room.
walk into Taco Bell, I motivate every single one of those people in there to make me the best damn cheesy gordita crunch and chicken quesadilla. Lance, That I'm telling you right now. We have the Taco Bell in St. John running like a well-oiled machine because when I walk in, they have my order ready because they know that when I'm coming, they already got it ready. Corey,
no, they don't, because Taco Bell has one of the worst service when it comes to
my Taco Bell.
Yep.
Maybe your Taco Bell, but my Taco Bell
run like them on the side.
Yeah, run like a well-oiled machine. They got my food ready. I'll be there here later tonight.
What are you getting tonight?
They know damn well.
What is it?
Cheesy gordita crunch, a chicken quesadilla. Maybe some extra sauce.
Yeah, you like sauce, boy.
A burrito. Some nachos.
What else? You done with that?
An empanada.
Oh my god.
What do you spend? What's your bill?
$35.
$35 at Taco Bell.
Are you lying?
No, he says that all the
No,
time.
I'm for real.
He says $30 at Taco Bell all the time. He says that.
How do you do
That's easy.
Yeah.
That's
This is the kind of consistency we're asking for from the captains. He goes $30 every time he goes to Taco Bell. That's consistency.
I mean, no disrespect to Taco Bell, but it's $6. I'm nauseous. $30. That's
I can see like 15 to 18, but 35. You do it too much.
All right. We got Nicholas coming up from Santa Clara. We got to get to Carm's Notes as well. And Carm's Notes are brought to you by Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. Did you just rip paper out of my notebook so you could fake your notebook?
Yeah. No, I everything's on my phone today because
Here we go again with nothing actually written on the pages.
He just ripped the paper out of.
Does it?
Unnecessary waste of paper.
True, but these will get recycled.
15-yard penalty.
Listen, the least of our problems today is that my notes are
Replay
on the
bad
phone.
segment.
All right. First of all, the second play of the game was the highlight of the game. When Jervon Dexter Sr. blasted through there and looked like Steve McMichael in his prime, we had a football team ready to play.
The violence that Thomas Brown asked for.
Yeah.
It lasted 2 plays.
And then on the first touchdown, Juwan Jennings was wide open, and they went right down the field. It was like Corey Wootton looked like this. It was just completely confused. How is this happening? I picked the Bears. So did that guy. So did this guy.
Oh, rub it in one of
No, you should. That was a bad one.
Yeah. And then, we had a big argument. If you missed the pregame show, and I was sitting there talking about Tyler Scott and how I like to see young players play.
You know what? You're right. Tyler Scott would have made a difference today.
I mean, can I get somebody with some speed out there at wide receiver, somebody that can run actually, with this.
That wouldn't have helped out with anything.
How about we just throw, I don't know, 150-yard bomb? That'd be sweet. Can anybody run past anyone around here? DeAndre Carter was active again, and then he got smoked, and then he had a hamstring, and then he was done. Tyler Scott would have avoided that, damn it. And Tyler Scott, next week, wake up, Thomas Brown, elevate Tyler Scott. Enough with this Colin Johnson. Enough with this DeAndre Carter. You drafted him in the 4th round. He can actually run fast. He has some elusiveness. Can we please see him play before you get rid of him? The season's over. Thank you. The Bears started 3 and out. Also going back to the pregame show, Greg Braggs' prop. I really like the Bears plus 330 to score on their first. I'm like, really? That should be like 1,000 billion to 1 that they would score their first drive. Braggs bet 330. Worst bet I've ever heard.
They went 3 and out.
Made the rundown.
Can you bet on them going 3 and out in the first drive? Because that would make some money.
You probably lose money by betting on it.
Take your money.
By the way, also starting the game, Braggs was on the patio smoking cigars. Hoge joined him. It was just a full disbursement. So I
went out there right after the first 3 and out.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna at least enjoy the sunset.
Yeah. So I went and hung with Big Dave, who was, had just done the Bulls postgame show, and Big Dave was having a meltdown. We need a possession receiver. Big Dave wants Tommy Waddle to come on back. Shout out to Hogan Bragg smoking cigars. Corey Wootton. Oh my God, George Kittle is killing us.
He didn't break the record though.
Yeah. No, we were looking up records.
They took it easy on us.
We were looking up the tight end record in the first quarter.
Back to Corey Wootton. Juwan Jennings, 3rd touchdown, 21-0. Corey Wootton, I'm going home. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Didn't leave. Came back. Braggs left at 1.2.
If you look on that paper, that's actually Tyler Scott's play package for next week.
There's nothing on there.
There's nothing on there.
Let's see. Gervon Dexter limping after Purdy. Give a shout out to Dex fighting through today. And then I wrote down Caleb pumped on the pickup to Keenan. Oh yeah, when it was a big third down. Caleb showed some enthusiasm. We got Caleb enthusiasm. That was huge. And then that's when Greg Braggs left. At some point there, Greg Braggs walked out with his backpack. You guys have a good one. Wrote it down. First fumble and 378 dropbacks for Caleb. And then just last one here. Shout out to my guy Adam Hoge, who started the post-game show with this and just watched the whole game today. And as much of a football genius as he is, your general reaction all day was, I'm just completely shocked by this. I am just absolutely stunned that the Bears, despite 6 losses in a row and mounting evidence that this team smells as bad as you can smell at this point, Hoge is just stunned. He can't believe it.
They just played 3 of the best teams in the league down to the last play. You're not surprised that they didn't show up today?
Logical take.
I wasn't like screaming to the moon that they would definitely win. I'm not shocked they lost.
Let's give Cram his flowers. He picked the Bears to lose. He was the only one of all of us idiots
I'm willing to
cover
do
this
that.
team to pick them to lose.
But
Steven also picked them to lose.
Not at his Tyler Scott.
Right. But he picked him to lose, and he was right.
That's where I can't agree with him.
But I'll just continue to say this team is Jekyll and Hyde. We'll all pick them to lose on Monday.
They're not Jekyll and Hyde. They hide every week, 7 in a row. There's nothing Jekyll and Hyde about them. They just
greatest
lose.
comeback in the history.
But you wouldn't say that.
Just played the Lions.
That's what I'm saying.
They lose. They're gonna lose.
That's not what I'm surprised about. I'm not surprised they lost. I'm surprised they didn't show up.
Okay.
3 playoff
There's
teams
a
they played
difference.
down
You
to the
still
wire.
picked them to win. Like there's.
I did, but that wasn't that crazy of a prediction. New coach bump.
No, yeah, sure. What a bump it was.
Yeah, but when they fire Waldron, what happened? There was a bump in the offense you thought would be the same thing defensively, and it went the.
Are you gonna pick him next week?
I did say though, like right at like in the 2 minutes in between our pregame show ended and we walked over there, I was like, I am really not optimistic about Eric Washington versus Kyle Shanahan today.
That should have made the notes too.
I should have.
I mean, who's gonna pick up against the Vikings?
Nobody will. And
The
then they'll
Vikings
play.
beat
And
the
then they'll
Falcons
play
by 21 today.
And watch,
I'll
they'll
think
play.
about it.
They'll play great.
I'll think about it.
Watch.
And they're playing.
Like, I mean, I don't know with this team. You know, you just don't know week to week.
No, you know that's the point. They're gonna lose.
Then you're not allowed to pick the Bears to beat the Vikings.
Yeah, I don't think I can.
It's going to, especially at Vikings home.
You got one more
Great
chance to pick
stadium,
them.
though.
You can pick
They're
them.
going to get a horn on it.
Maybe.
They're going to be
It's a great horn. The Galler horn. It's the best of all the horns.
You know, Carm's gonna pick the Bears next week because he
I mean,
likes
he
to
will.
zig
He's already
while we
seen
all
he's
zag.
right.
He sees where everybody's picking.
That's
and
all
then
it
he goes
is.
That's why his record is fake.
Right.
It's a fake record.
Fake record.
Fake record. Fake record.
Just like your tennis ranking.
By the way, you
fake.
And
That did sound fake. He was trying to explain this earlier. He's like, I am like 1.5 points off Federer. That's all I took out of that.
That's not what I said. You need to stick to football.
You were like, I'm a 4.5. What's Federer? 7.
7. Look, don't get into tennis rankings. No one cares.
Does this
A
with golf,
and B.
too.
Oh. Wait. What did you just say?
Nothing. We're just moving on. Nick's going to be joining us here shortly from Santa Clara,
We should
wherever
get some
they
super
are.
chats in while we're waiting.
Let's get some super chats in there. I'm sure they're lovely. Shout out to our guy Steven. He's had to put up with a frisky chat here today.
Yeah, and enough with the. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about it.
That's good. It's always good.
Thanks.
You know, it's always a good bet for you to just not talk. So Giuseppe Mandel, $50 super chat. That was really hard to watch. The D was so basic. Bad execution. 18 didn't play well. The first half was so bad. We have a lot of work. Bring on Vrabel. New scheme. 3-4. Some new personnel. Bear down. 4 more to go, but I'll be watching.
You want verbal?
I do think Vrabel's one of the more logical.
If there's anything I need is some verbal.
You are very verbal.
Wait, what?
Actually, what we
It
could
says
use
verbal.
He needs Taco Bell.
What actually you need is
verbal, a stern talking to.
No, we need to get you a coloring book so you you can express yourself with crayons.
I make the signs all the time at Friday 120 clubs.
I'm getting you a color.
I'm great at making
For
signs.
you good. I'm getting you a coloring book for
We
Christmas.
did the San Francisco thing
I
when
want
I
you.
tried to get Kyle Shanahan fired, and then he
It's a
took it
great
out on
logo.
us all day today.
I
We
want
spent our
you-
entire pre-show meeting coloring the San Francisco 49ers logo.
I want him to color during the show. I think it
That's
would
a true
distract
story.
him. It'd be good.
This is the most productive I've been in a meeting in months.
Woo! We're firing all cylinders. I'll do
Buddy.
this. Buddy, you're the man, buddy.
$100.
Yeah, Buddy, he did $100 right at the start of the show. Buddy, we should have gotten you there. I hope you're still out there. We appreciate it. How am I surprised that I'm not surprised that this is the result? By the way, it was great to meet y'all at the Packers tailgate a few weeks ago. Buddy, it was great meeting you, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, buddy.
And
Buddy!
because, buddy, you know what? You bring an optimism to the table, buddy, and damn it, you don't go away from that. It's a good way to live, despite its lack of accuracy.
By the way, we're going to come up with some special prize or something for coming to our tailgate on December 26th before the Seahawks game.
We're
You come to that tailgate, I'm going to
I am
everybody a
forcing
hug.
every person that works at CHGO to come to that tailgate on December 26th, the day after Christmas, on a Thursday night.
Great idea.
All hands on deck.
I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be.
That you're damn right.
I'll be there.
My family's coming in
Real
town
ones.
for the holidays, so I'll
Family's
catch
coming
y'all
in.
remote.
I love our tailgates. I'm going to miss our tailgates.
Tailgates are great.
Giuseppe, $20. Keep in mind, Woot, they just stayed in basic zone. That was pretty easy to pick apart. I was calling the plays from the couch, and players didn't play well. They need someone to shake things up.
Yeah, it was a pretty basic zone, but they just didn't pass off simple.
They were bringing pressure early from
They couldn't get home.
from Los Angeles, essentially. And by the time they got anywhere close, George Kittle was just running wide open down the middle.
Shanahan anticipated the blitzing because then they were running the crossers and they
Oh,
couldn't get home and guys were
no
wide open.
physicality. Add it to the list, man.
All right, let's bring in Nick. It was at Levi Stadium. So good. Gets me fired up.
Shout out to Logan Frost. Starts Sandburn over Edmonton. That's funny.
Nick, do they have the keg in the press box or not?
If they do, I haven't found it, Adam. That'd be really good right now after watching whatever that was in today's game. But I can't say that they do have the keg, so that's unfortunate.
Nick, could you tell that the Bears locker room that they had just lost?
Oh, oh yeah, you definitely could. I think the big thing here, there just wasn't people really available. Even before we got in, like guys were leaving. Keenan Allen left before we ever got a chance to enter the locker room. So did Travis Homer and yeah, so the guys were leaving before we even got in. And then when we got in, you guys, it seemed like a ghost town. Like even I didn't even see Cole Kmet in there the entire time we were in the locker room. So it's like I think when you lose the way you did, all three faces didn't show up. It showed up in the locker room too, and some of the answers that we were getting from these Bears players, it's almost like copy and paste from every other loss. So you could definitely tell, Mark, that the Bears had just gotten blown out by the San Francisco 49ers.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Nick. Who gets a gold star that actually hung around? I know we heard from Byard, we heard from DJ. Who else gets a gold star?
Yeah, I mean, there were guys that did stay, like TJ, Tremaine Edmonds, Montez Sweat, Braxton Jones. So there's some Rome Odunze, DJ Moore. So guys, there's some gold stars to be handed around, but this is the NFL. Like we're not giving out gold star, little participation award, for doing your job here. Like this is what happens in bad losses. You need to be able to be there and talk about it, and good wins, you're obviously going to talk about it. So obviously, not too many guys were available after this one.
So, Nick, for you, what was the most disappointing part of this game for what the Bears did or didn't do?
Well, just I think back to Thomas Brown and his messaging to the team earlier this week, wanting to play with physicality and violence. Like that was something that it felt like players were latching onto. I don't know about you guys, but did you see that physicality? Did you see that violence on either side of the ball today? And for me, I didn't. And that's what I think is so disappointing, that you try to send this message to this team and it didn't carry over for whatever reason. And like one of the guys I was talking to today was TJ Edwards. Almost every single question that was asked, he responded with there was lack of execution. This is week 14, man. Is it the lack of execution on you guys? Is it on the coaching not getting to the players? Like, why is the lack of execution still a thing this far into the season? So that, I think that's what would be most disappointing. Where was that physicality, that violence that Thomas Brown talked about? Wasn't anywhere in all three phases today.
So Nick, I mean, for you, when you see how this season has unfolded, I mean, how much worry do you have? I mean, I didn't expect the Bears to let go of the rope as hard as they did in this game, but you've got 4 games left now. So, like, how do you, if you're Thomas Brown, how do you try to extend the same message you had this week, which clearly, as you said, didn't resonate, and then take this into the last 4 games to where, you know, guys need to be playing for pride, and it doesn't seem like there's very much of it going on right now in that locker room.
Yeah, no, it's tough, Greg, because like hearing a guy like Montez Sweat, this isn't the first time I've heard him sound dejected and defeated. Like this is, now just another time added on to the previous times already. Like he was asked a similar question, how do you keep this group on task for 4 more games? He said, we're fighting for our resume, our pride. Well, it's one thing to say it right here after a bad loss. Now you have to go through a week's worth of practice, put it together, and show up, next for your next game. So I don't know what it's going to take, Greg, to get this team to actually start playing, even though obviously playoffs this season's already down and over with. Like you need to see it on Sundays. We're just not. So I don't know what Thomas Brown, what different messaging is going to have to put out there, but the violence, physicality one, I thought they would, latch onto it and actually use it in today's game.
What did Montez Sweat have to say? Because, I was 2 weeks ago where he was openly talking about how frustrated he was that he, didn't have the production this season. He had maybe one of the more easiest sacks that he could have had today, and it just somehow Brock Purdy slipped right out of it. I'm just curious where he's at right now.
Yeah, so like I said, he just sounded kind of defeated today. It was, which latest loss was it where he sounded very similar? Honestly, they kind of all run together. But he said the message from Thomas Brown, he was asked, what was the message from Thomas Brown? He said, nobody's going to save us. That's what Thomas Brown said to them. And he's like, we're grown-ass men. Like, we have to go get back into it week out and week in and get back to work. And then he was asked, what do you need to do to ensure like this type of loss doesn't happen again? And Montez was like, well, if we had the answers, then we would have different outcomes. And I guess that's true. But then he was also asked, like, how do you process this year? I think Courtney Cronin asked Montez, like, one, how do you feel? And I think she just saw what I was saying, like, he seems pretty defeated. How do you feel and how do you process this year? And he said that it's definitely been a tough year. It's had, like life, it has ups and downs, but he has confidence that they're going to get this thing right, ellipses, eventually. And so you just have to say positive here. And when asked what makes you positive that things are going to change, he's like, winning. And so that was really the interview with Montez Sweat. It wasn't very long. I thought he was trying to bounce around, not trying to get to us, but he eventually spoke at the end there. But again, like I said, Montez did sound defeated. And this isn't the first time that's happened. And obviously, he signed a big contract. Here's a focal point for this Bears defense, probably not having the production that he envisioned up to this point in week 14. But I think all these losses are starting to weigh on these guys.
What about Braxton Jones, Nick? He tends to be a pretty honest guy in these situations.
Yeah, no, he definitely was. And, I asked him about the messaging that Thomas Brown sent to this Bears team leading up to this game about the violence, physicality. I just asked him, do you guys feel like you played with that enough physicality and violence? And he said you can only speak to him for himself, but he mentioned he could be better, could have been better intent on some plays. But, I think for Braxton Jones, he's always going to back up his teammates. And he said that he saw guys flying around, but it just wasn't obviously enough. And he was asked, like, how do you explain the slow starts? And I think his answer kind of says everything. When he was asked, how do you explain the slow starts? There was a sigh, And then he said, you don't explain him. And said he might not be the best guy to ask because, being an offensive lineman, he's just trying to go out there and execute and do his job. But yeah, I think it wasn't just Braxton Jones that didn't have an answer. DJ Moore also, didn't clarify exactly why the slow starts are happening. Rome Odunze couldn't identify him either. Even, Caleb Williams at his presser couldn't pinpoint exactly what's going on with these slow starts, but they have been happening every single game of this season. So they have 4 more games to maybe correct some of those slow starts, but you're running out of time here.
I don't know if I love him saying I'm not sure I'm the best one to ask because I don't know. My exposure to football is offensive line is a great place to come out and set the tone early on in games. And so, all right. Anything else we're missing here, Nick?
Just real quickly, I don't know if you guys got a chance to listen to Caleb or what he had to say in his presser yet,
yeah.
but what'd you say, Adam?
Yeah, we heard the press conference.
Okay. I thought it was interesting, though, about the communication. Patrick Finley asked him about it. Like, was it different or the same with Thomas Brown, obviously being on the sideline? As Caleb was starting to unwrap that question and starting to answer it, he said, obviously, the biggest difference was talking to Thomas Brown face to face, which is obviously different, but then he said all these promotions, people being promoted to new jobs, they have to deal with new things. All these little things he said matter, and when you add more to people's plates than what they're already doing, some of those mistakes are going to happen. So obviously, like if you kind of go into that answer, you're like, well, obviously there was some communication errors that probably happened throughout the game. Just because of the new roles that people had to take on with everybody getting promoted and moving up. Like I saw Kerry Joseph on the sideline. And so I think that was the thing too. We were wondering if was Kerry in the box or on the sideline. Going with my Zoom camera, I'm like, that looks like Kerry Joseph on the sideline. So I wonder if somebody else was in the box or how they kind of did that. But obviously there was some miscommunication going on for this Bears team, and it's expected to happen when you have all these promotions and Thomas Brown going to his first job as interim head coach.
That's a good point. Or the fallout from the game. All right, Nick, appreciate it, man. Safe travels home, and we'll see you when you get back in town.
So I know we talked real quickly about like the ice cream. If they won, we would eat ice cream. There is still ice cream available. Does this seem like a good time to get ice cream, or do I avoid it and save this root canal that's probably happening right now in my mouth and not do that?
You should probably eat it, man.
I would go nuts.
Eat ice cream and candy
and Taco Bell
until you're fatter than me, and then don't leave.
Are you good?
You're not allowed to leave that building until you're fatter than me.
Are you taking us to the ice cream?
Oh man.
Oh.
At this point.
Yeah, but that's
there's one last Twix in there. I love Twix. But what were you saying,
Clean
Mark?
them out, Nick. Start putting it all in your backpack.
As good as
It might melt, though.
Nick's like, Nick's like, I'm gonna leave here with something.
Actually, look, to be completely honest, they had a bunch of snacks. I still have a bunch of snacks. Those are coming back with me in the suitcase. I'll be set for this 4-hour flight. I'm good.
Take that candy cart and wheel it out with you.
Well, I'm a little disappointed. I thought we were talking about like a soft serve machine packaged. I mean, it's fine, but you're the San Francisco 49ers.
Soft serve king over here.
Yeah, get some hot.
These are used to Soldier Field.
Okay.
They'll take what they can get.
You go to a Bulls game. They got the
used
chocolate.
to
They got
mice
the vanilla.
in the
This guy was hanging out with a mouse in the Soldier Field press box.
yeah, with Ratatouille.
Great movie.
Nick, travel safe. We love you. I took Corey Wootton down on the ping pong table so he could shut his mouth too.
Oh, we're 1-1 as the last 2 games.
1-1.
Yeah, the past 2. Okay.
Actually, guys.
How about past life? We're 1 for life over here.
Oh, okay.
It's a 1.
Right.
And it won't be a 2.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up with supers. And
let's talk ping pong.
Fake game.
Let's go right after this.
I won't play pickleball, but I'll play ping pong all day.
Yeah.
Jake, $20 super chat.
Absurd comment. Will be discussed offline.
I'm sorry, fellas. I need to emotionally remove myself from the Bears. This team, for so many years, consistently plays like they love to lose. They are currently check the F out. I'm so tired of caring for losers.
You will go nowhere, Jake. You will stay right here. We need you.
Michael Washington. Carmen, you mind reading this one for me? Thank you.
I got you. Michael, 1999. They don't have a real leader on that team. All their best players have never been part of a winning situation. They need some older veterans on the defensive line and offensive line, not your defensive back who was toasted today. Michael, we said all of that, and so we are in agreement, my friend. Thank you so much for the super chat. Up next is Huss.
Another 20
times
Huss.
2. Back to Huss. It's all about going back to Huss. Woot helped my cover my autograph helmet in Arizona in AZ better than the whole D this game. There you go.
It was a sweet helmet.
That was a great job by Huss.
Let's hit. I'm sorry. I was going to say, let's hit up Kelly Witten. I know
Love
she was a little
Kelly.
lower.
Dr.
Sorry.
Bunny.
Yeah, never mind. Well, what about
Way to go
some
rogue,
Chubbs?
Greg.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just saw her name and I missed her because I just.
We love you, Dr. Bunny. You're the
love her
best.
so much.
We got to do. I mean, what about the vigilante? What about him for $10?
Chubbs could yell at us.
When the vigilante is saying when Caleb is throwing a bullet pass, the receivers aren't able to catch it. At least 3 drops this game from bullet passes. Are they unprepared for the velocity of it? Anybody want to speculate on that one?
Devontae Adams had a lot of trouble catching Aaron Rodgers' ball his first couple years.
That's true.
So he's got to get used to it, right? Some quarterbacks throw it with a little more zip on it. If it hits you in the hands, you got to catch it.
It's the NFL. Catch the ball.
I don't understand it, honestly. And, I don't think they could explain it either.
Torture. Oh, did we already put up a different one there? Sorry. Nick sells Atlanta at $10. This is a broken franchise from top to bottom. We need a cleansing from top to bottom. Polls, Warren, all coaches. I know not realistic, but ownership as well. D-line and linebackers all tradable as well. Tortured Bears fan. Small thing. Why not hurry after Keenan's dicey catch? Did the refs hold us off? Feels like good teams always do this, and we were asleep. At least try. So, a couple things there. That one was so obvious. I think Kyle Shanahan was going to throw that flag regardless. But there was some miscommunication there. It looked like Keenan was trying to yell Rome to go to the other side, and then he ended up coming back. To your point, you can't run a play with motion, with pre-snap motion after that. If you're trying to hurry, get lined up and snap the ball. You can't have pre-snap motion. So I wonder if Rome was trying to actually understood the situation, was like, no, I can't go in motion here. And then Keenan's yelling at him to go in motion. Anyway, resulted in the ball not getting snapped. Kyle Shanahan chucked that red flag almost all the way into the middle of the play. Great arm by him.
Would look so good in Chicago. You don't want to be in San Francisco. It gets boring.
Yes, he did.
No, it gets boring out there. Come on.
Every year they got a shot.
Take on a real challenge. Be a stud. Go for the iconic.
You know his college teammates with Kyle Shanahan?
Nope.
Richard Hightower.
That's huge. Save Hightower. We might have to do a save Hightower. Hightower's in trouble. Shanahan might be his only hope. Life support for Hightower.
What else we got here? Jason Lassiter, $2. Excellent show. Even better points made today. Thank you, Jason. Probably the only nice comment we got the whole show.
Everyone's loved me today. It's amazing.
Well, you've had a good day.
Greatest comeback in the history of podcast.
I mean,
everything after once the pregame show ended, you had a phenomenal day.
I thought I had a great pregame.
I told you so.
I'll never take that pregame back. Tyler Scott, no, damn it.
It's on YouTube forever, unfortunately.
I'm going to go watch it on my way home.
You should.
Listen to my brilliance.
Yeah, you're in the burbs.
You should have to listen to that.
That should be your punishment. Suburban Carm.
You should have to listen.
Your punishment for that show should be have to listen back to that show.
I'm going to listen to Gregory P. Allen Braggs and Lance Briggs and just
it is a great
smile the whole way home.
That's right. Make sure you're staying locked in here to the CHGO Sports channel. We appreciate you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we don't stop here at CHGO Bears, and we will have another show coming up, another post-game show coming up for you, CHGO Bears After Dark, featuring Lance Briggs and myself. And so if you guys got questions for Lance, get them in because we're going to be answering a lot of questions from you guys and obviously getting Lance's perspective on the game as well.
And I'm going to honor Braggs by going to Taco Bell myself on the way home.
Ooh. Okay. Can you do $35 though? That's the
no
challenge.
chance. I'm going to do about 7.
Adam could get to $35 if he pays for the rest of his family.
Bragg's toilet, man. It's got to be a crazy situation, baby.
We got good plumbing.
Shout out to Kevin Fishbane on the way out here.
Why? Over the Northwestern loss last week?
Not so fun fact.
Yeah, Bears quarterback Caleb Williams now has the NFL rookie record for most starts without an interception, 7. Passing, want to guess? You won't get it. I won't. We'll get it on the show. Charlie Batch.
Charlie Batch.
Batch.
Was not expecting Charlie Batch.
Charlie
I thought it
Batch.
was gonna be like Andrew Luck or
ever on CHGO. Yeah. All right. Appreciate everybody watching, listening. Please subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe as a podcast, available wherever. Do it both for us, please. It greatly helps grow the show. Hit that like button and stick around, most importantly, because Lance Briggs will join Greg Braggs here momentarily, right here on CHGO. And the rest of us will be back tomorrow and all week with coverage, as we always have here. Become a diehard as well. Talk to you later.
We all silly like the mayor.